You want to be in the video? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hey, I'm Carmel, and this is my dog Oreo. He won't move, so we're gonna do this video with him in the shot. Today is November 2nd. Tomorrow is election day, which is a very, very, very important day, especially in this election. I think that this is one of the most important, oh, now he decides to leave, okay. I think that this election could be one of the most important presidential elections in our lifetime. All elections are important, so every year make sure to go out and vote. And you know, for local elections, your state elections, and obviously the presidential election. Tomorrow, this is a big one. This is gonna, I think, really, really change the direction that our country is going in, and I think it's really important for us, especially the younger generation, to go out and vote. And if you're not voting for yourself, if this administration doesn't affect you, if any of the policies that are going to be put in effect, if they don't necessarily affect you, you should vote for the people that can't, for the people that it will affect, for the marginalized communities that are at stake here. There's a lot at stake right now, and I think that we really need to come together as human beings and as citizens, and you know, not even just American citizens, just as global citizens. I think it's important to care about other human beings and about other people's well-being. I think that's so important, and I think now more than ever our country is just so divided, and it's really like, I think at least that it's our job to really come together right now and try to repair what's been done. If you don't want to vote for yourself, if you don't care about your vote, if you think that your vote doesn't matter, it does. One vote matters. Your vote matters. No matter what anybody tells you, it matters. And your vote can make the difference between, you know, which direction your state, you get your electoral votes in your state. It matters. So please go out and vote. I've included a list of resources in the description box. iwillvote.com is a great one. I think it's great for every state. You can choose where you're a resident of, like California, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, wherever, and it'll show you voting and drop-off locations. So if you need to find where you can vote, or the district in which you're registered to vote, you can check your registration status. If you're registered to vote, you can also register to vote there. There's also a tab to let you vote by mail, so requesting a mail-in ballot. This I would be careful with. Check your state laws, because some states are requiring that if you do vote by mail, that it needs to be received on election day, which is tomorrow, November 3rd. There are a ton of states that allow it to be received after election date, as long as it's postmarked on election day, on or before election day. But I would double check that with your state, especially because as of recently, states have been passing laws to either extend it or, what's the opposite of extend? Or just close it. So I would double check with your state. Again, iwillvote.com is a great resource for this. I do want to go over really, really quickly, I don't want this video to be too long, your general rights as a voter. The polls close and you are in line. You are entitled to vote. You have the right to vote, so stay in line. I cannot stress this enough. A lot of people, you know, will leave the lines because they think, oh, the polls closed, I can't vote. No. You have the right to vote. If you are in line, if you are waiting in line, stay in line. You have the right to vote. If you make a mistake on your ballot, request a new one. Any mistake on your ballot will result in its invalidation and it will be disqualified. So make a mistake, just request a new one. They have to give you one. They cannot deny you a new ballot. If the machines are down at your polling site, ask for a paper ballot. Again, you are entitled to vote. So if the machine is down, request a paper one. If you run into any problems on election day, there are a few hotlines that you can call. I'll have those on the screen right now. Reach out to them if there's any problems. Again, voting before election day, which would have been like today or any other day, check with your state laws to make sure that your ballot will be valid if it is received after election day, and that it only needs to be postmarked on or before election day. If anything, if you do want to do an absentee ballot or a vote by mail, what you can do is drop it off at the polling site. This is allowed. You can do this. Again, just check with your state laws to make sure. Some states may require you to bring a valid form of ID or documents to show your residency. Bring it just in case. It cannot hurt you to have these documents. If you're voting for the first time especially, make sure that you have, you know, proof of address, proof of residency. Bring an electric bill in case they ask you for it. Your state ID or even your passport. Honestly, just bring even if it's just a shit ton of proof that you live where you live. It cannot hurt you to have these forms of identification, especially you know, to vote. Again, if you need to check if you're registered to vote, to actually register to vote, or to find your polling site, I will have the link in the description box. iwillvote.com. Again, great resource, one-stop shop. I will have a ton of other links in the description box for resources on how to vote. This is a big one. I've seen this online, that a lot of places and people are telling voters that they can't find their name. If they say that they cannot find your name, then request a provisional ballot. Even if they aren't in the poll book, if they can't find your name in the poll book, you are entitled to vote. It is your right. So request a provisional ballot. After election day, election officials must investigate whether you are qualified to vote or not. If you are qualified and registered, then they will count your ballot. They will count your provisional ballot. If you're not, it'll be disqualified. Ask them to double check if your name is there or not. You can bring your ID, show them your driver's license, your form of identification, say this is my name, or you can spell it out for them. If they've double checked and your name is really not on the list, you can ask them if they have a supplemental list of voters, and if they still can't find your name, then request that the poll workers check the statewide system. They can do that. Ask to see if you're registered to vote at a different polling site. If they don't have access to the statewide system, ask them to call the main election office. Be stubborn. This is really important. Hold your ground. You can also call 1-866-RVOTE and ask to verify your proper polling site. Again, that's 1-866-OUR-VOTE. If you are registered to vote at a different polling site, in most instances, you'll have to leave that site that you're currently in and go to your registered voting site to cast your ballot. And then again, if they still, after you've done all of this, if they still cannot find your name, ask for a provisional ballot, because I cannot stress enough, you are entitled to vote. It is your right. If you are a voter with a disability, or if you know someone who's a voter with a disability, under federal law, polling places for federal elections must be fully accessible to older adults and voters with disabilities. I will have tons of resources linked in the description for you to check out. In federal elections, every polling place must have at least one voting system that allows voters with disabilities to vote privately and independently, and will also let you vote by just pushing buttons for people with mobile disabilities. If you are someone with a disability or know someone with a disability, what you or they can do is bring a family member, a friend, or just another person to help you at the polls. Do not bring your employer, an agent of your employer, or a union worker. It needs to be someone that has a relationship with you that's not a work relationship. If you do bring someone to assist you, make sure that you notify poll workers when you arrive. They may ask you to swear under oath that you have a disability and that you have asked that person to be your care partner to help you out. If there are long lines and you have a physical or mental health condition or disability that makes it difficult to stand in line, tell a poll worker, notify them, they will accommodate you. If you are not able to enter your polling site because of the pathway is not fully accessible, or another reason, ask poll workers for curbside assistance. And for this, you can, again, also call 1-866-OUR-VOTE to report the issue if they won't accommodate. If you or someone you know doesn't speak English really well, or speaks English less than well, under federal law, voters who have difficulty reading or writing in English may receive in-person assistance at the polls from the person of their choice. Again, this person cannot be, I must stress, they cannot be the voter's employer, an agent of the voter's employer, or an agent or officer of the voters union. So it must be someone with a personal relationship to you aside from work. Counties covered by Section 203 of the Voting Rights Act are required to provide bilingual assistance. Again, check with your state and local laws regarding this one. This means that they must provide poll workers who speak certain languages and make all election material and election related material, information and such available in those languages. So again, check your county, your local state laws. What you can do for this is, again, bring a family member, bring a friend, a loved one who can help you vote at the polls, or help your family member if they don't speak English. And again, do not bring an employer, an agent of your employer or union. This is a big one that I've seen happening all around the country. If someone is interfering with your right to vote, this is voter intimidation. It means aggressively questioning voters about citizenship, criminal record, or other qualifications to vote, falsely representing oneself as an elections official, displaying false or misleading signs about voter fraud and, related to criminal penalties, other forms of harassment, particularly harassment targeting non-English speakers or voters of color, spreading false information about voter requirements. You do not need to speak English to vote in any state. You do not need to pass a test to vote in any state. Some states do not require voters to present photo identification. However, some states may require that. Check with your local and state laws before you go to a polling site. Just bring your ID. Again, it can't hurt you to bring multiple forms of identification. If anything, worst case scenario, it will only help you. It is illegal, and I cannot stress this enough, it is illegal to intimidate voters and a federal crime to intimidate, threaten, or coerce. Why does that sound weird to say? Coerce. It is illegal and it's a federal crime to intimidate, threaten, or coerce any other person for the purpose of interfering with the right to that other person to vote, or vote as he or she may choose. However you want to vote, vote. And if anybody stands in the way of that, it is a federal crime. If they try to intimidate you, you can report it. In many states, you can give a sworn statement to the poll worker that you satisfy the qualifications to vote in your state, and then proceed to cast a ballot. Again, you can call 1-866-OUR-VOTE to report intimidation to the Election Protection Hotline. All right, so I think I've covered a majority of the general information. Again, I will have every resource that I can find linked in the description box for you. So be sure to check that out if you have any questions about voting. And I just want to end this video by saying, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know I'm very political on there. I don't hide that I am really liberal. I don't, and I'm proud of that, because I think that kindness and empathy for other people is really important. So I just want to say that this presidency, it's going to end, whether that is tomorrow or a few weeks after election day, when all the votes come in and are counted, or even if that means another 4 years of this presidency, it will end. And everyone who sort of crawled out of their hole and took off their masks and showed their true colors: racism, bigotry, sexism, xenophobia, transphobia, all that, and others, etc. Everybody saw it. The world saw it. The world saw you, and we won't forget. And kindness decency, respect for your neighbor and for all human beings, I really believe that it will prevail again. It has to. Those that chose to be ignorant, chose to not vote, who decided that everything that this administration has done in regards to immigration, violating human rights, women's rights, and all that, you decided that wasn't a deal breaker for you. The world will remember. Your neighbors, your friends, your family, they will remember. And the side of history that you stand on, it's gonna follow you. So that's it. That's all I gotta say. All we have to do is just wait and see and go out and vote and hope that we prevail. I think that now is the time, especially the younger generations. Now is the time to stand up and fight for liberty and justice for all, right? All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.